Oh man, I've got a winner for you tonight, people. This is the 7th level, and this is another digital dump. This time around, we are looking at Battlechasers Nightwar for the PS4, also available on PC. And honestly, I think a lot of people have overlooked this title, thinking that this is some indie Japanese RPG wannabe game. That's far from the truth. This game is actually based on a comic series from the 90s. Didn't set the world on fire, but it had its audience. And it's developed by former members of the same team that made the original Darksiders. You can kind of see that in the artwork here. But whereas that was a 3D third-person action RPG, this game leans more towards the traditional Japanese RPG as far as the way that it plays. It's your typical turn-based 3 versus 3 type setup. The story is told in cutscenes. It's semi-animated. You're not going to see anything that's really elaborate in the animation except for in the opening cinematic and in the ending. But still, as a kind of a motion comic style, it's really impressive considering that this is a digital title. Now you can get it physically on PS4. I'm not sure if you can get it physically on PC, but you can definitely get a physical PS4 version. The combat in the game is a lot more streamlined than your traditional JRPG, but you can definitely tell where it drew its inspiration from. You've got your standard attacks, you've got your special attacks, you've got burst attacks that are unique for each character and build up over time. That's pretty much it. This is not an RPG that's going to set the world on fire based on its gaming complexity. It's very easy to pick up, very easy to get used to, and of course it's a grind. When you first start out, you're killing stuff fairly easily, but once you get maybe 10-15 hours into the game, you're going to start to have to grind, which that's traditional for this kind of game. Some people get turned off by that kind of thing. They feel like they should just be able to play through a game and win. No, you're going to have to do a lot of grinding to build yourself up for some of these later boss fights, because they can be quite challenging later on in the game. Graphics-wise, this game is superb. It's fantastic looking. It runs on map screens and what have you, 30 frames per second, and then when you're in actual combat, 60 frames per second. I'm not sure what the choice was there or why. It doesn't really affect anything. You don't really notice it. Probably wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't have mentioned it. The music, absolutely superb. Very, very well done score. It's got some very memorable tunes. I actually wouldn't mind having the soundtrack to this game. It's that well done. The controls and everything, I never noticed any kind of glitches or any kind of delay in the button presses, nothing like that. The combat's very intuitive, very easy to pick up. You've got a lot of customization that you can do. You can create your own weapons, you can mod them. You have perks that you can add to boost your characters. You will eventually get additional characters where you can customize your party and choose which characters best suit your fighting style. Now, one thing it doesn't have is a lot of random battles. You're not going to be running along in your exploration and suddenly just drop into an attack like you would with, say, Final Fantasy. You can see exactly where fights are during this game, whether it's on the world map and it's just a little icon that's on the map that you'll have to run past and defeat that fight to get to other parts of the map, or when you're going through dungeons and you can see the enemies moving around and you can either try to get around them or just face them. Now, the enemies that you kill on the map, those will respawn after you've stayed at a hotel or whatnot, and you're going to want to do that because you're going to need them for grinding later on in the game. Like I said, this game is pretty easy peasy until you get up around the 10 or 11 hour mark. But it also has other things to divert your attention, like mini games. For example, here you have fishing, and it's a simpler system than what you'd see fishing for in other JRPG style games, but it's still actually quite a bit of fun, and you can take those fish and trade them in for various different things to boost your stats, boost your equipment, that kind of thing. Overall, if this game has a weakness at all, I'd have to say that it's the story. The story is not going to set the world on fire. It's kind of generic. It's the whole band of characters with unique traits joined together to fight an evil foe that's threatening to take over the world, blah, blah, blah. You've seen this in Japanese RPG games quite a bit. Now, with this one, you don't have the young, fair-haired teenage protagonist who becomes the chosen one to save the world type deal, but it's still the same overall arc. You know, bunch of people with differing skills that complement each other, join together to fight a evil foe that wants to destroy everything and take over the world and blah, blah, blah. So, if you can live with that, then there's really nothing negative that I can say about this game. The gameplay is awesome. The graphics, as you can plainly see, are amazing. If you loved Darksiders, you're really going to dig this. The music is superb. I think overall the story would have been better served if more of the script had been done via voiceover instead of just text. I mean, there is plenty of voiceover in here, but not as much as I would have preferred. I would have preferred for the whole game to have been done in voiceover, which is not what has happened here. But again, it doesn't really do anything to detract from the overall enjoyment of the game. If you like turn-based RPGs, this is a definite must-have for your library. Only not having the most original story in the world holds it back from being perfect. And for that reason, Battlechasers Nightwar is going to get a 6.5 out of 7.